Perfect. Lighting good. Let's see. Okay. Audio, audio. Can you hear me? Recording is happening. Perfect. Perfect. Hey guys, I'm really excited to follow up on my uh, entrepreneurship blog called Uplift. And today I have an amazing guest. I'm gonna bring him in just a second. Let me just fix a little bit of the lighting, and I'll let him know to jump in, and he'll be ready. Hey guys, so welcome back to Uplift. I am really excited today because today we're having our first guest. I hope it's gonna be the first of many, and this is where we get to bring somebody into the conversation. My goal is to bring many more businessmen, entrepreneurs from South Texas and from the local region. And I think that once we bring in more people into this conversation, we get to add more value and like really expand into what we want to achieve here with this blog. So today I am bringing Mr. Richard Trevino. He has a firm where he helps and coaches business and helps take people to the next level. The name of his firm is Elevation Consulting. That's correct. And I'm really excited to hear from him. I don't, you know, I could not describe more how excited I am to meet him. So let's pause that. And so Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're doing today.
Cool, brother Leo. Thanks so much for the opportunity to come and share with your audience and to be able to have a good conversation with you. And I know you're here locally as well, so that's always really good to see other local business owners and entrepreneurs, getting together. That's always a very important piece of the puzzle for all of us as entrepreneurs. But so a little bit about myself. My name is Richard, like you said, and I've got a consulting firm. It's a consulting firm. It's called Elevation Consulting Firm. We predominantly focus on personal and professional development. We've done some work with some Fortune 100 and 500 companies, small, medium, large size companies. We mainly focus on leadership development, management development, as well as soft skills development, which is a skill set that is very, very much needed right now in all industries. We also do a lot of motivational speaking in different companies and events and organizations, and we have a specialty that we offer as well within the firm, that we also help people to write their books. So if anybody's looking to become an author, write their first book, whether they have the story ready, the manuscript ready, or they're looking for us to ghostwrite it, we do that as well. I also have a separate business as well. I've been in the insurance industry. A lot of people don't know this, but I've been in the insurance industry for about 14 years, almost 15 years already. And I've got my own agency. And so we predominantly stick to life insurance and also um, some retirement planning and things of that nature. And I have a team of people that I work with doing that as well.
Yes, sir. Why don't you? I'm really excited about this. Why don't you let us know a little bit of those Fortune 500 companies that you have worked with, so like we get like people can really get an idea of the caliber of work that you're doing.
Sure, sure. No, absolutely. So some of the people that I have worked with, Western Southern, New York Life, we've done some work with some pretty major insurance companies. That's the main field of expertise that I've really started in. But again, there's some of the companies we've got some NDAs with, so I technically can't share that with anyone. But we've done work in a lot of different industries, and so for us, when we come in, we get involved a lot of times, unfortunately. We get involved with companies that are already in a place where they're looking to try to make some major shifts. And so there's typically there's usually issues that are already going on within their company culture or processes and stuff, and they want us to get involved. But my personal preference to work with on a new customer is somebody that's being proactive. That's that whether they're a small, medium, or large company, but that they're looking to get in front of this. They're looking to stay in front of it and do preventative types of trainings rather than, hey, Richard, come fix our company and fix all of our issues that are going on.
That's amazing. So I heard Western Southern. I know my family and some of my parents. So you work with a lot of insurance companies and a lot of large companies, and that's really great to hear. So I'm gonna give you this next time to just really expand more on like the actual services, because you have so much. You have motivational speaking, you have management, you have leadership. So which you can do either, go down the list of like the options you offer through your company, or you can maybe relate to a couple of like of your favorite experiences that you really love working with this company, and how those a couple maybe shares of what those stories and like the success people, like the result people saw in their business.
Sure. Yeah. So a little bit about more specifically what we do is we do a lot of group coaching type of settings. So when we're working with companies, that's one of the things that we do on an individual basis. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching with some C-suite executives, as well as some upper management, business owners, upcoming entrepreneurs, people that are just looking to make that shift from being a 9 to 5 worker employee to owning their own business. And so we offer that uh, personal coaching and mentorship on helping them to make that transition and what to expect. And the reality is, a lot of people they want to do that. They want to make that change. They want to add that additional revenue or side business, and they don't know what that looks like. All they do is they have the ganas, right? They have the desire to do it. So that's specifically what we do is we help them on that path to get from point A to point B. Because if you're not careful, as many people could easily tell you, you will lose thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on buying programs and all kind of different material if you don't know a good path. So what we do is we take them step by step from this point to that point to help them reduce the amount of costs that they're going to be investing, as well as what's the most important things for them to get involved with, the important things to do, and also find the clarity, right? Find clarity about what is it that you do want to do. A lot of times, what I'm finding is that a lot of people are realizing nowadays that you do got to have a side hustle or have a small business if you're an employee, or if you're a business owner, you've got to have multiple businesses. If this crisis that we've been in for the last month or 6 weeks or whatever it's been, I don't even know what day it is right now, but if this has not been a wake up call to people that you need to have that, then I don't know what is. But so on a personal basis, we do that. We help people and coach them, and we have accountability coaching as well. And so I have various different types of clients for that. But on the bigger scale, for companies, we offer different types of packages. So we do in person coaching, a group coaching, and so we can actually go to the company and we can. It's typically going to be with managers, mid level managers, upper level management, department heads, where we'll come in and we have leadership development, leadership training. And it's amazing because a lot of people, they get into these leadership roles or management positions, and they have very a limited amount of people skills. They don't have the experience in this type of position. They were maybe good at their previous level or their previous position, and somebody thought, hey man, this person could be a great manager, but the reality is they don't have the experience. So we come in, we help them, we start opening their horizons, start giving them the new lingo, new talk, new way of thinking, new having a paradigm shift where you understand that you're not in that other role that you're in, but that you're thinking bigger, thinking wider, thinking longer. And so we help them to develop them as actual leaders in a company rather than just being an employee and just coming in to check in, but rather owning what they're doing. And so we don't teach the hard skill, we teach the soft skill, right? So the hard skill would be, I'm an engineer by trade, I'm an architect by trade, there whatever, pick your title, but we're not going to teach that hard skill. What we're doing is we're coming in to teach the soft skill, your intercommunication skills, your interpersonal skills, your communication, your self-awareness, your awareness of others, your seeing a problem and working out problem solving and things of that nature. All the things that managers and leaders are going to be facing on a daily basis. So we help them to be able to learn that skill. And so we do that for different companies. And so on a leadership side of things, I'm sorry, as a consultant, that's one of the big things that we work on. But on the book side of things, again, because I've got multiple businesses on the book side of things as a publisher, and we're actually currently working on that model right now to officially have that as its own business. It's always worked under the consulting firm and on the coaching side of things, but we're actually creating the actual publishing company as we speak. Um, but for that, we literally go from point A to point B, and we help people. So if you've got an idea for a book, or you want to be the expert in your field, you want to become a force to be reckoned with, and a strengthen your positioning and your clout in your industry or in your topic, we are the people that you want to do work with to make that happen. So it's no secret. People are becoming authors daily, now, especially with all of the different technology that's available. And people know that, like, if you want to get your message out there in this world, you need to write a book. If you want to become the expert in your field, you need to have a book. And not only do you need to have a book, but you need to make sure it hits bestseller status on the major uh, stores and outlets out there. So that's what we do. So some of our clients, they are writers, and they are even upcoming writers, and they want to write their book. They want to take part in that. So we have a done for you package that we have, and then we have a done with you package. So the
Okay.
done with you, if they want to be writing and stuff like that, I'm coaching them their entire time from beginning to end. Our graphic designers get involved. We also help them with posting on Facebook. So if somebody doesn't is not really savvy in the social media, we help them with that as well. It's part of the package. We get them a little more familiar with that. I do copywriting for different clients, so I help them to do their posts and whatnot. And then if you don't want to write the book, and this is one of the big things we work with a lot of very busy, professionals, and so they don't have the time to just sit down and write a book. Um, so what we'll do is we'll actually sit down with them. We interview almost like we're doing now on a Zoom call. We record the entire conversation. We do the interview. With my process, we extract the entire story and everything that we need, chapter by chapter, and then I take all that information. I get with my professional ghostwriters. Myself, I'm also a writer myself. I actually write for multiple publications. I write for Entrepreneur Magazine. So um, I get with them, and then we break the whole thing down. We write the entire book. We send chapter by chapter to our client. They read it, they approve it, they make edits, whatever they want them to be able to do, and then we go like that until we're done to the end. We help them with the construction of their exterior design, which is the front cover, back cover, spine, the interior design. We do it's completely done for you service. Within a matter of literally 60 days, 90 days, it's usually our average. We did have one client that we actually finished the book within 4 weeks. We launched, so that was pretty kind of pretty cool. But so that's everything that we do on the writing aspect. And so, and of course, with the insurance business that I have, we write insurance. There's not really much to that. So you've got needs. We've got products for you, and I'm a broker, so we have dozens of companies. So we work for the customer, for our client. Our client comes to us. They sit down and say, "Hey, listen, we do a needs analysis on them. We find out what their needs are."
Hey,
But
Richard, let me stop you right there because there's so much.
sure.
I hope this can be like a little bit of a conversation. Um, Tons of people are super excited about writing their book. People, become more like self-idealized, self-centered, and they want, everybody wants to share their life story because history has been so, different lately. We have people becoming, first-time business owners, first-time college graduates, brand new athletes, all kinds of brand new business owners, and especially going through these times. So, what up, you as the, and then some of these people have their original story, right? But then I want to, you kind of help them package it, professionally present it, and that's a service in itself. That doesn't mean they couldn't have found it on their own, but it's like you're gonna make it easier for them, and you're gonna give them an
Sure.
awesome deal. Tell us a little bit more just about like what does it mean for the client when they see their product finished, and then on an average, how long does it actually take to finish like a book from like just raw uh, paper script to like fully published, fully finished book?
Yeah. So your first question right, about the what does that feel like to them? I mean, most people are moved to tears. Like, and that's the honest to God truth. About 4 years ago, I wrote my first book. We hit #1 bestseller on Amazon in like 3 or 4 multiple categories. And so I was a #1 best-selling author with my book Taming Turnover. Uh, and so with that process, I can tell you it's a very spiritual feeling, man. It's a very emotional rush. I mean, it's crazy. Like literally, when you see your book done, you have literally your work in your hand. It's literally everything that was inside in your mind and heart and spirit and experience and life has now been externalized, and it's in a book format. The crazy thing is now it has become eternal, basically. I mean, it's going to be around for as long as the world is here, right? So,
Mhm.
so your book is now going to be forever. Your story will be forever, even though we pass away. It will continue on generations to come. That is a very powerful thought, and so that it is a very, very, very spiritual experience, man. Uh, I think probably every one of my clients has all either cried or almost cried, men, women, and children. And
Amazing.
it's powerful. And as soon as you get your proofs, because part of the process is when we get everything done, um, the publishing the company, they actually send your proofs in to see what your book is going to be looking like. So you got to get your one final last view through, make sure everything is good, and you got to approve it. And usually that moment, we always tell them, make sure you capture that moment because you want to see it later on. Like you want to capture that moment. It's almost like when you're a baby, you have your baby and it's delivered. So it's like, oh my God, this is my work of art. This is mine. I made this. Is me. And so it's a very, very powerful experience. But as far as time frames, like I said, we've been on average, it's usually like 60 to 90 days that we usually have a turnover time for our customers from start to finish,
90
from
days.
concept all the way to launch. And I think that, like I said, I think the quickest that we got it was 3 or 4 weeks that we had a book from concept all the way to launch. It was the fastest one to get it done.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Like I am already thinking of so many other questions like to expand on. Like I feel like the process of actually having a book and making it successful and then either successfully releasing it into the public or having it sold through Amazon and have a successful, return. That's in itself like it could have its own conversation, but because you have so much and offer so much, I want to just drive you into this next question. So I'm really interested in like your opportunities to train upper level and middle level management. um what is that switch in, like, just give us a few hints of like language about personality. What do you guys really coach on those like brand new managers, or like, to prepare those people to get to the next level, as in what are their usual traits, what are they usually missing, and what do you guys ship in them to like make them amazing managers?
Yeah, I think the area that we always start in is always going to be self awareness, and I think it's that when you can make help that area first, and we start there, self awareness, knowing who they are, what they're about, where they're headed, what they're doing, what they're involved with, and what's the bigger impact, and we usually start there, and then we kind of build on this relationship with them and growing them and helping them, um, you know to help other people. I'm a firm believer that you can't help other people unless you can help yourself. Or let me take that back. You can't effectively be able to reach your potential in helping other people unless you've already done the interior work and you've been working on yourself. It's not that you can't help them. It's just that it's not going to be hitting its potential of what you could have done for them. And I firmly believe that if you're in a management position, you're a leader, that if you're going to make an impact, you better make the biggest impact possible, because the reality is this is your people's lives. So how do you do that? Well, you got to start on the inside first, on you. So we start with self-awareness, and helping people to become more aware of who they are and what they're doing. Um, get them clear on their vision of of why they're there and what they're doing there, what the long game is and what the end game is and what their goals are. I have found that Simon Sinek talks about this, right? Your why. If they understand why they're doing what they're doing, then we help them with the what part and the how. They understand their why, then we help them with their how. So how they're going to go about fulfilling their higher calling in that company or that business that they're in. So that's where we start. We start with the self-awareness, because I found already through multiple cases, right, especially in the beginning, that if we didn't work on that, then what ends up happening is you start stacking and building all these extra skill sets and development training, and it ends up in imploding, or it ends up falling because they're still unaware. It's, you can teach somebody how to communicate, but if they don't know why they're communicating, or the purpose for it, and they themselves don't know how they're actually communicating, it's not very helpful.
Got it. Hey, Richard, I can't let you go unless I really want to hear at least one example of whether if it was through insurance, through somebody, a manager within a marketing company or a larger company. Give us like, we don't have to say names or the big company names. Just tell us what industry, and then let's say his name was John, and then what was his position, and then what did you have to work with him on, or her, to like just really, what was maybe one thing, like their biggest thing they had to work on, whether it was self-confidence or communication, then just kind of just so like we have a semi-tangible example.
Yeah, so I had a personal client of mine that he was a small business owner. He actually was in the insurance industry as well. So he hired me for personal coaching and development with them to help him grow his team, grow his business. And all he knew was, he didn't know the specifics of what he wanted. He just knew he wanted to grow. He's like, I want to go to the next level. Like many people, right, that may actually hear this, they may be in that place. I want to grow. I don't know what it even looks like, but I want to go to the next level. I'm tired of being where I'm at right now. I'm tired of seeing myself in the same situation, same position. I just want to go to the next level. I don't even know what it looks like though, but I want to get there. So he hired me as that. He had seen that I was working with different companies and working with different professionals. He had heard from somebody else that was working with me as I'm coaching, and they recommended me. So the first place we started, after talking with them, sitting with them, getting just a general consultation with them, kind of gathering who he was, what he was about, how he was doing things, looking at his business. The very first thing that I saw was the lack of clarity, right? And this is, yeah, and most people are suffering from this right now. There's a lot of people out there right now that they want better, they want bigger, they want more, but they don't know what that actually looks like. But there is an innate sense and sensation inside of all of us as people. We always want more.
Hmm.
But the disconnect for most people going to hear that there is just the clarity. If you can find out what the next step looks like, it just in tangible, like what does that look like for you? It'll help you on that process to start making some progress and then building momentum. And then you'll find that once you start getting into that process of clarity. What does the next step look like? What are my action steps? Okay, now go do that, and then keep repeating that process. You'll continue going. I think people have this idea that, and just like this person did, I want to go to the next level. Um, and a lot of people, again, they face that. They think they're thinking too far down the road, when all you need to be doing is thinking about the next step, because in reality is, it's an infinite game, right? That's what Simon Sinek talks about. It's an infinite game. This thing goes on forever. There is no end. So if you can just think about the next step and growth, then you'll find that you'll continue to keep growing, and you're going to find that happiness that you are growing in your business. So with this client of mine, we grew his business in 1 year, 40 some odd, I think it was like 45%.
Wow.
So it was a huge amount of growth for them. His team, himself personally, his income, his people's income, 40 to 45% increase in 1 year. And I've had conversations with them after that. We've done work after that as well. He's become a good friend of mine. And the reality was that for me, what was the major piece that we had to find? It was the clarity. Didn't have the clarity, and then secondly, it was the self-confidence, right? The self-confidence. It was the need to, and again, a lot. These are things that I constantly run into. People need the validation.
Right.
You know, they need the validation to go do it. To do something bigger. They need somebody to validate that it's okay for them to want more in life. And that's one of the big things that I always push with everybody I get around, is that you need to want more in life. You need to stay hungry. You need to stay thirsty. You need to want more in life. Demand more of yourself. You got one shot, And so for him, I began to validate that for him, that it was okay for him to do that. And once I did that, all the other people that had constantly in his life, his mom, dad, cousins, and church people, and all these things that constantly kind of suppressed him unknowingly, right? They did. I began to help him to push that limit off of him and believe that, dude, it's okay. It's okay. You can want more. Your desire is in the right place. If you got more, what are you going to do with more? I'm going to help so and so, help this, help that. Exactly my point. So then he realized, oh my God, it is okay. And once that happened, it took off and set a plan of action for him. And I mean, I mean, 45% of increase in 1 year it was amazing. And that's just one example, but it's amazing what can happen when you unlock just a small couple of little pieces.
Richard, that is so amazing. I think we're starting to get into like the great stuff that I like to hear, the motivation, the self-belief, which moves me to my next point. And you can continue to uh, you know, talk about your, bring in sidebars about your business. But I just want to get to know you a little bit more. Take me back, because right now I am looking at the product. I'm looking at a man that's branded, successful, continues to work hard. You got your amazing gear, hat, shirt, professional, already has written the book. Take me back, maybe when you were just brand new entrepreneur, brand new businessman. What was your shift? Did you invest? Did you decide to what made you want to, if you had a prior job before, share a little bit of that with us. Maybe if you want to share like where you came from, where you were born, where you're from, just tell me a little bit of your story and kind of in a nutshell. And then where did Richard, the entrepreneur, was born, if that makes sense.
Right. So, it absolutely makes sense, bro. So myself, I'm born and raised in Corpus, right? My family's here in Corpus, and all my roots are here in Corpus. And I love Corpus, man. And this is one of the reasons why this past couple of years, I've really been trying to do a lot more work here locally. I've done work in other cities, other states, other countries. Thank God, I've actually been able to do work out in Jamaica for a very, very, I mean, you're talking about global brands, excuse me, the global brands, or literally we've done work at some hospitality places in Mexico as well. I mean, some major, massive global brands, to do leadership development, customer service with them. But one of my big things is in my heart, it was birth to do more work here locally, because I feel that our professionals here locally, they do need leadership development, they do need management training, they do need soft skills training, they need motivation. And we're better to port my talents, abilities, and resources into our people right here, you know? So, but I love Corpus, man. This is where I'm from. And I believe so thus far, I believe that I'll end up dying here eventually in Corpus, a long, 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 long life. But, and my family's all here. Our church is here, and I stay heavily involved with the community here as well. But for me, um, you know, it all began. I was actually working in the insurance industry about, like I said, almost 12 years, 12 and a half years, with on the corporate side of things, with a company here. It's a very large company. It's a national company. And I was developing people, growing teams, training people, and doing that. And I loved it. I was good at it. I was very good. I was making, making my six figures of income, doing very well. We had some of the highest paid agents working under my staff, and we were doing great, man. We were doing really, really good. One day, I started having issues with my back, and one day my back ended up going out. And mind you, I think I was like 31, 32 years old, and like out of nowhere. I mean, I was pretty healthy. I mean, I thought I was at least. And then the next thing you know, I ended up having to go on short-term disability. I ended up having to get a major back surgery. I went out, and the recovery time was horrible for me. And during that time, because of my back being out, the back being out, the front had to kind of carry the weight of everything. So the muscles in my abdomen and area, I ended up getting a hernia, two hernias in the front area. And so then I had to get hernia surgery, double inguinal hernia on the front. And so my back was still messed up, front was now messed up. And so all my core was all just jacked. During that time, I went over the 6 months that I was allotted with the company. And so I got a letter in the mail, and they said, hey, listen, you're no longer with the company. We're cutting your contract after 12 and a half, almost 13 years with the company. Thank you for dedicating all of your 20s to us and some of your 30s. We appreciate that. But if you ever want to come back, you can reapply, and we'll let you know if you can come back. And so it was a devastating blow. It was horrible, bro. For the last 12 and a half years, I dedicated my life every single day, working 60, 70 hours a week, making good money and, providing a very good living for my family. It was all gone. My phone was constantly, all day long, constantly text messaging phones, constantly working on things, putting out fires, developing people, helping people, growing people. And it went down to, I mean, like that. It was all went to a halt. And so the crazy thing was, I didn't realize that all of my identity was basically being put into that. That's who I was. And when that stopped, I didn't know who else I was.
Go ahead. Go
It
ahead.
was it was no, okay. So it was difficult, man. It was difficult trying to find out. I had a big question, laid up in bed for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. But it was a better part of the year. I had to basically start all over again, learning how to walk again. I could barely inch around like a baby. I mean, it was hard. It was so difficult. It's a very humbling experience. Um, and as I was laid up in bed, I would be getting on Facebook and stuff, and I was totally new to Facebook. I was never on Facebook before because I didn't have any time for that kind of stuff. And started going back on there, looking and finding people that were my old friends and people I used to go to church with a long time ago, and acquainting with people and making new friends and seeing all these programs that were on there. And I was just opening up to this new world of social media.
Mhm.
And I found this program while I was laid in bed, looking at my phone up at the ceiling like that. I was laying on my back, and I found this program about writing your own book. And so I was like, well, man, that's me. I have all this information I can be able to help people with. And during this time, I'm trying to figure out, well, what value do I have now if that's who I was? That's everything I had. So now what am I going to do? And so I had an opportunity of a lifetime that most people never get. And it was the opportunity to stop and think about, what do you want to do with the next 20, 30, 40 years of your life? And, how do you want to define yourself and how do you want to recreate yourself? And so during that time, I took that opportunity to do that. And it all started with writing the book. I wrote my first book. Good.
No, no, that was like Richard. You hit it like right on point. Like that's amazing. Like you just gave us the sauce. Like that's what we want. Like to hear the story, because like you have to, not that it's necessary, but like you have to go through like there has to be a shift. Like a new man isn't born just because like you, like that life changing experience, like that shock, like I've had mine, and I will, I've shared it in this blog. And then just the fact that you're, being vulnerable with us, sharing that, like that's huge, because that creates the story of the book. And then I kind of stop you because we have a couple more minutes. But like that is so huge. Like that, out of all that, I feel like that is one of the reoccurring uh, American stories of the modern times, like that reflects the shift in our history that people used to, as other motivational speakers would say, work, in the 60s and 70s and 80s, work for a company for like 30 to 40 years, earn their gold watch, and
Mm-hmm.
like they would retire, right? That was the thing. That is no more. Like, more and more through the 90s and 2000s, we have these stories where people are getting laid off, to or some or like a family event happens, or an injury in your case, like 10, 12, 15 years, and now what are you going to do now? Like that's where the man, the hero, right, of like the entrepreneur, the business owner. Yeah, like that's when you which for my family happened as well. My mother lost her job as an engineer in Mexico, after was laid off after 20 years working for a GM umbrella company. And so that's what I believe in. That's why I believe that you can no longer trust any given company, because you're replaceable. You never know when you could be laid off. And like, so that's why people need these skills to write their own book, to be self-coached, to become a business owner. And that's what creates, sorry, I get a little emotional myself. Like
Yeah.
that's what we need to communicate with people. And like you, like I can only say so much, but you just brought in your own experience as well, and you just added so much value to us, and like that means a lot.
Thank you, man.
There's so much more. I feel like, guys, Richard has, there's so much, like I feel like we're especially really humble. All the real impact he has made, the caliber of the companies he has worked with, and the states and places he's been are huge. And I don't think, which name dropping is not necessary, but I believe like the amount of work Richard has witnessed and experienced, like he's the real deal. He's like your elevation in consulting and coaching. Like he will get you to the next level. I do want to, our time is almost out. I just want to, like, bring you back to the man. And if you can just tell us, like, in like 1 to 2 minutes, like, how do you manage business and all your clients that you're coaching with, like, your family? Because if you guys don't know, I met Richard literally just, he was sitting down at a park playing with his
Yeah.
kid, having an amazing Sunday evening with his family. That's how I met him. And so how do you, when is, tell us about managing family and business. When is that time? And like how important that is to you.
Absolutely. And so working on the corporate side of things or in the corporate world for 12 and a half years, I didn't have a whole lot of time. I had dedicated all of my life to doing my work and working and developing people. And those people became my family, basically. I spent more time with them than I did with my own family. I almost lost my wife multiple times because of me not being present. My son, whom we adopted, he's been with us since he was a year and 3 months old. He's 6.5 now. There was during the time that we were fighting with him in on a custody battle. It's a long story, but during that time, they were very precious moments that I should have been investing to be with him because it could have been the last moments that we had together. And guess where I was at? I was out there working, taking
Exactly.
care of my business, making money for the family. And I was so lost and I didn't even realize it. I was so consumed by my work and I didn't even realize it, the most important things in life. And after doing that for 12 and a half years, when all this stuff happened and I had that great awakening, and I think that's really what it was, that moment where I saw things so clearly, one of the things I asked myself was, what in the world did I do with the last 12 and a half years of my life? How did it go by so fast? And then I began to realize all of those difficult moments that I created because of my not being present for my wife, for my family, my church family that I've been begin to be distant with them and not as active as I used to be. And I realized how much I had hurt others by me not being there physically or emotionally or just being there present with them. And when all of that happened, I vowed to myself, I'm not going to allow that to happen ever again. One, I'll never put myself in a state where I'm vulnerable again, where somebody can take everything away from me again. And now, don't get me wrong. I think there's some great companies out there still. You just got to make sure you're working for the right company, and for a company that truly cares for their people. So, but for me, I just told myself I'm not gonna put myself in that place again, and I'm not gonna put myself back in the place again where I'm consumed by work and I can't be able to give back to my family, my friends, the people that would truly actually be there when I'm on my deathbed. The company when I wasn't on my deathbed, but I was in a pretty bad ordeal, being laid up in the hospital. And guess what? Not one person came to see me.
Man.
Not one card, not one flower, not one candy, not nothing. You know, my wife was there. My parents were there. Some of the brothers and sisters from the church, they were there. My son, he was there. And so I think about that, and I tell people that now. I'm like, you have to think about it in terms of that. Devote time to the people that are most important in your life. So how do I do that? I try to schedule my days as best as I possibly can. um, in the mornings, I try, this time being in this whole coronavirus thing has been very, very a beautiful time for us because I've been able to, in the mornings, I get with my son, we make breakfast together, we sit down, we say a quick prayer together. We typically will go cycling. So we go bike riding for about, 3 to 4 or 5 miles together. And he's a trooper. Come back, we shower up, we get ready, we do our work together. I go do my work as well. I've been almost preparing for this, right? Because I've got my offices, but I also work from the house as well. But so how do I maintain that balance? It's just planning. You have to plan it. I've always had this saying. I've heard it a long time ago, and I've continued to tell other people. I continue to practice today. If you fail to plan, then plan to fail. If you want to make it work, if you want your plan to work, if you want to be successful, you want to maintain a balance, well then plan for that. Good things don't just happen. They're prepared for and they're planned for, and you have to execute them. If you want good things to happen, you got to put the work in. And so I never want to get back to that place again where I feel like they're neglected. I never want my wife to be able to look back at me and be like, "You're never here." I don't want that. It's a horrible feeling. And so to prevent that, I've got to do my part. And if I don't do my part, then it will happen again because we're creatures of habit and we will naturally flow back in that same place again. And it is a battle. It's a constant battle. You have to keep on trying to work at it. But like all good things, in the end, it's all worth it.
Richard, that is so amazing. I don't think I could have said it better. I feel like this is so relatable to like the modern busy businessman here in Corpus Christi, like upper management leader here in the Coastal Bend area. Like that was like more than valuable. I think the audience is gonna love this. Like you just hit it hard. I feel like I got to meet you even more through this conversation. It was amazing. We are out of time. I am gonna let you go. But like we're definitely gonna have to do this again. I might have to hit you up. So when it's my time to write my book, you know. But,
Absolutely, brother.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the recording. And it was a great time getting to chat with you, Richard.